Good morning, friends. It's Monday. This is Heather at Bush Puppy Farm. Hope you're doing well today. I've got 2 days, today and tomorrow, to get a whole lot of work done before the rain comes in again for a solid week. So I was gonna be out at the farm first thing this morning, but Aiden's got a migraine that he's dealing with. He is gonna go into school shortly, in like an hour. So I'm gonna get some stuff done here at the house. I also have stuff to do here too, so it's not a big deal. And then I'm gonna head out to the farm. The crucial things at the farm, I have to get those 4x6 beds, or at least one of them, full of compost, which should really only be 3 loads of wheelbarrow loads, and then direct sow the poppies, the nigella, the bachelor buttons, the buplorum. All that has to get direct sown today. I'm not even going to bother watering them because, again, we're starting Wednesday. We're getting basically 7 straight days of rain, and for the foreseeable future. It won't be heavy rain the whole time, but every day it will be raining to some extent. So I also still need to weed out there, which probably will happen tomorrow, and try to put more fence sleeves in. Here, I also have compost to move. I still have a big pile in the driveway. I need to take all the compost from here in the front, that's left, and move it to the back of the house into the cottage garden. Give a big top-up layer in there, which is a little slower progress because I have to work around all the plants, but they desperately need a layer of compost in there. And then I'm going to direct sow, in advance of the rain, all of the little packets of flower compilations that I got from Hudson Valley Seed Company. So all of that, try to do in the next 2 days, in between just regular life. So we'll see what we can do. First thing though, I'm gonna go check on the chickens and bring them some dandelion greens. These are not mine. I did not grow these, but look at that. Aren't they gorgeous? And they love dandelion greens. Really good source of calcium for them. So yeah, I'm gonna go give these special treat to them and then get started on moving compost. Look at this. Look at this. Oh my goodness. Everybody's loving that. Okay, slight change of plans here. So I've started to put the compost down in the cottage garden here, and I realized I really need to do some major cleanup before I give them a load of compost. I don't mind that the leaves are on the ground. That's fine. They'll just add, nutrients to the soil. But there's a lot of dead stuff that needs to get pruned back. I usually do this in February anyway, so I'm just going to go on and do it now. And it's not a lot, because a lot of the stuff has died back for the winter, so it's not a huge amount of work, but I think it would be much better to do this now and then add the compost than to add the compost and then come through and try to do this later, because I think it actually will make it a bigger mess. So it'll be prettier, it will be tidier, and I can really get the compost where it's needed. So I'm gonna go grab my clippers and a bag, and I'm gonna start cleaning up the garden, this cottage garden, before I add compost. Wow, that was quite a day. I feel very accomplished. Mostly because I had to take 2 hours off in the middle of the day to go lay down. I started the day with a headache, and it got worse and worse and worse and became a full-blown migraine. So I took medication and I tried to keep working, but it was way bad. So I lost 2 hours laying down, but it's mostly abated. I came back out and did the rest of this. So I'm going to walk you through the cottage garden and then everything else I still need to do back here. I mean, there's no major rush on it, but I'd like to finish and get all that compost out of the front driveway as soon as possible, but I can only go as fast as I can go. Okay, so this cottage garden has not been tended in 2 years. Last early spring, like February timeframe, I cleaned it up and I started putting compost down, but I didn't make it past the first 10 feet. I just ran out of time. And so this is the first time it's gotten a coating of compost, probably since we put it in. Now, this whole area used to be grass. The grass went up to this brick retaining wall, but it was grass that was dying. Even though there's an irrigation system back here, in the summertime, it gets blistering hot here in this strip and stays very, very hot for most of the day. So the grass was almost dead. So I thought, let's claim this as garden bed. And so we did. We used shovels and hacked out all of the grass, shovels and mattocks, and we double dug the entire thing because it was really compacted soil, and then added compost and then planted. And the first year, it was mostly foxglove and these Dusty Miller that I grew from seed. And I've been adding to it every year, and every year it's in flux, right? So right now, we've got these red rooster grass that I gave a major haircut to. We've got some other little grasses in here, sea thrift that will come back. So you'll see a lot of just compost in here, but there are things under the surface that just haven't broken through yet. And the rain that we're gonna get will sort some of that out. These are lupins. So I cut them back and you can see all the fresh new growth. So we've got another one right there. We've got some lavenders in here. We've got lots of different spring bulbs. Now, some of the salvias and verbenas and stuff that were back here just didn't make it. So probably by mid-April, beginning to mid-April, I will know what kind of space I have in here because all the spring bulbs will be up and I'll be able to pop in some new plants in those areas. So we've got daffodils. This is a feverfew that I planted 2 years ago and it keeps coming back. So there's lots of ground cover like this throughout the front of this bed, and the rain will wash away the light topping that I have of compost, so I'm not worried about that. But you can see hyacinths, there's some Dusty Miller. I did a major chop of most of the Dusty because, well, we'll talk about it when we get down there, but these are foxglove that sowed themselves. And so I think they're going to be apricot, but I don't know. This is a cosmos that somehow grew last year, and I don't even remember planting it, and it is continuing to flower even through the winter, which is totally crazy. So all this Dusty Miller I grew from seed, and I planted it with the idea of cutting on it for using in bouquets. And I've been able to do that to some extent, but a lot of times the stems aren't long enough. This is more foxglove that's self-sowed. We've got daffodils. This is germander and another type of Dusty. We've got Gara in here. Pseudocarpus back there, I think. We've got some verbenas that I gave a haircut and salvias. So a whole mix of things. And then, like I said, I cut the Dusty really hard because what it likes to do is spread by sending out a runner along the ground, which is fine, and then it roots in. But then those stems are super short and they also start to get nasty. The older stems, they start looking like that. So I cut out of these as much as possible. I mean, these are like 4 years old at this point, so I'm still impressed that they're even still around. They are perennial, but so all the little sticks that you see sticking up will become shrubs as the time goes on and it gets warmer. But right now we've got spring bulbs popping up, and then, like I said, lots of ground cover in here that the coming rains will just kind of clean up and you'll be able to see them more. Irises. So I planted a few irises a couple years ago and they are spreading, which is wonderful. These I think are the black suited ones. They're amazing. And I planted a couple new ones this year too. So hopefully they'll give us a nice show. So sprinkled through here we have foxglove. And again, I have not planted foxglove in a long time. It just continues to self-sow. It's really good at that. I'm just so happy with how it looks right now because it looks so clean. So I left, for the most part, all the leaves underneath. I crushed them up where I could so that they wouldn't form a mat and block water from getting through, and they'll become mulch easier. We've got some California poppies in here, and sweet alyssum, and cat mint, and lamb's ear. There's more Dusty. We've got two types of Dusty here, New Look and can't remember the other variety. If I think of it, I'll put it on the screen. So over here, lots of lupins. There's also some, there's buddleia back here. There's hollyhocks, which I hope return this year. Yarrow, which hasn't come up yet. Bunch of salvias. Like I said, lupins, foxgloves. So a whole variety of things in here that will fill in as the season goes on. But now they've got some fertility. They're getting plenty of water. And I hope that that means that we're going to have a good year this year. I can always pop in new plants where I see fit. Now this bed, you will have seen that I totally attacked it really hard. And there's a reason for that. So that shrub right there is helichrysum. It's a wonderful shrub. I love it, but it expands like wildfire. So I cut it way, way back. I pulled up lots of it and it will just continue to flourish through here. But it was completely covering all of these snowdrops that I have and the hyacinths. They can't even get tall now because that shrub was just so covered. I've got lots of daffodils in here. You can see some of them are already blooming. So I wanted to make sure, here's another snowdrop. Oh, I just love those. Because I was thinking, gosh, it's snowdrop time. How come I'm not seeing any? Well, that's because they were completely enshrouded by that helichrysum. So again, lots of just a serving of compost for everybody. It will feed the soil, and that's about all it's going to need for this year. Now, there's still a lot of work to do in this garden. The roses, you can see, are completely out of control. I have not pruned these yet. These are climbers. They're going to need hard prune. I just don't have the ability today to do this. Plus, it's already 4 o'clock, and it's starting to get dark. But yeah, these all need to be done. So probably tomorrow after I get back from the farm, we'll see, because tomorrow's going to be a big compost moving day as well. I cleaned up both of these containers. So I planted these last year. They alternate between strawberries and sweet alyssum, and they got huge and lush, and we got lots of strawberries off them. In the center is a clematis, which is why these trellises are here. Now, the clematis did climb and bloom in both of these, but then died back and looked really awful. And so I have no idea if it's going to come up this year. So we'll see. I'm hoping, but I don't know. Looks like, I mean, there is a strawberry plant down here, but I don't know if it's going to come back. So I may pop a new one in there. But I really enjoyed that combination of the alyssum and the strawberries, and they spilled over the sides. It was just lovely. So I'm going to keep this as a perennial container that way. I have to deal with all this. Here's our citrus. I've taken down the frost cloth because we had a couple nights below freezing, but I think we're pretty good. This is a hydrangea. That's no problem. It's already got fresh new buds on it. I'm just going to give it some compost because you can see it definitely needs it. But the citrus needs some compost. I need to rearrange them to a more comfortable position. Right now they're just like this to help me put the frost cloth over it. I also need to, this is my strawberry tower, take this apart. I don't know if I'll have to take it apart, but I definitely need to put compost into each pocket and trim away all the brown stuff and see if I need to add any more plants. Oddly, I didn't really get any runners this year. Usually when I get runners, I just staple them down in one of the other pockets and they take over, but we'll see. The other thing I need to do is this herb tower. So the soil is really shrunk quite a bit. Every spring I have to kind of take it apart and kind of reset it. So I will take all these tiers off, just kind of lay them out here. I will continue to grow most of these herbs, the ones that are still in good shape. And then some I'll come in and trim or completely pull them out of their pockets and put something new in. But yeah, this is the herb tower. I try to have all of these right outside the kitchen so that we can come out and cut them whenever we need them. So I also need to clean out this pot. Now these are marigolds that, I'm sorry, not marigolds, chrysanthemums that I bought in October. I think this one was a white. I think we had white, red, white, or maybe white, orange, white. I don't remember. But what I'm going to do, because they're not dead, I'm going to dig those up, cut off all the dead stuff, and actually plant those in the cottage garden where I have space, and then they'll just be perennial there. Now, this area is new from last year. I need to come in and add more compost, top it up. Most of the ground cover that I planted in here just didn't make it, and that's fine. Ground cover is cheap. I can get some more. But this jasmine that we dug up from another location is doing great here, and it likes this trellis, and that lavender is doing okay too. These containers, you can see these tiny, tiny bulbs are popping up here, but the squirrels obviously got to a lot of this. I don't even care. I'm like, whatever. At this point, I'm just kind of ready to move on. So I am going to top these up. We'll still get a bit of a show, but not much. There are tulips in there, but I don't know how many they've eaten. This area is going to need major trimming. I got to clean out a lot of the leaf material because it's going to suffocate the ground cover, which is creeping time. This is yarrow, and I know it looks awful, looks like it's dead, but that's just last year's growth. If you peek down in here, you can see all the green growth that's coming up. So I need to trim all that away. This is weigela, and I thought it had died, but it looks like it's putting on new green leaves. So these guys are lavender. Once I get the yarrow cleaned up, it'll look a little bit, but oh, it just smells so good, touching the lavender and the yarrow. But I will kind of prune this up trim it up to make it look better. These are lantana, they're doing fine. But again, I want to get rid of all the leaves instead of leaving them, because when I do put a topping of compost in the areas where there isn't ground cover, I want it to look nice and tidy. So again, yarrow that looks awful, but it's got fresh green growth down in the bottom. Just have to trim off the old stuff. This is a really beautiful rudbeckia that I put in last year, and it looks dead, but it's not. I just will trim away all the stuff, and then it will rebloom this year. That's perennial for us here. So you can see how much damage the squirrels did. And like I said, I just don't even care. I'm fine with that, whatever. It'll be fine. It wasn't that huge of a cost outlay in these bulbs. And, you know, it would have been nice to have a show, but it is what it is. That's not all. I also need to clean out this tower. It was basil this year. Didn't do that great. I'll put something different in here, maybe just a bunch of violas, because I have a bunch of seedling violas and we'll have some flowers in there. But this whole planter back here, or bed, I don't want to do too much with, because when we're going to have to get this retaining wall replaced in the next year or so. It's leaning pretty precariously. And so I really don't want to invest too much in this area, but I do want to clean it up a bit so it doesn't look so ragged. Like these ferns are big and lush during the summer, but you know, they die back. So we've got all this dead material, but you can see brand new fern leaf is about to unfurl. So I need to cut back all the old dead fern material so that the new stuff can push through. So yeah, in fact, in the summer, this whole area here is so packed with ferns that you can't see any of the pool equipment, and this light almost gets completely shrouded too. So I need to come in and clean all that up. That's a big job. It'll be okay though. And I'll probably put some compost down just for the heck of it. So I don't think I'm going to do anything back here. We've got leaf litter. There's a lot of eucharis in here, and although they're looking pretty rough right now, we'll see how they do during the season, but I've got to clean up a bunch of this fern material and give them some space and air to breathe. But check out these hellebores. Aren't they gorgeous with their nodding heads? They're just little white hellebores. Ugh, I just love them. This is a single plant. It has spread more and more every year, and it will continue to do that. And eventually it'll take over this area, which would be amazing. Can you imagine just all of this as hellebores? Oh, I would love that. They're very expensive. So I'm really happy that this one's doing so well. Now this here is our side, like little side yard. Nobody really comes back here except for us and the pool guy. And this is our kitchen window. But I did, last year and the year before, put some stuff on this hillside. There's lobelia, there's heuchera, there's some decorative grasses, and then there's lots and lots of spring bulbs. I think we've got hyacinths and daffodils, and I don't know, I can't even remember. So yeah, lobelia and lamium. This is, I think, white Nancy, which is nicely covering and making this a nice ground cover. Sweet woodruff, I think. Anyway, I'm not really going to do anything with this. We've got a bunch of oak seedlings in here that I should come through and pull up, because we definitely don't want oak trees growing in here. But like I said, we're going to have this retaining wall replaced at some point, and I got other things to deal with. I'm not going to worry about that. But that's not all. The other thing I need to do over the next couple of weeks is get the walk garden up and running. So these are boxwood hedges, and I need to cut them. I usually cut them into like a lollipop shape to kind of keep them looking tidy. I'm not worried too much about this. It's more of a woodland area. I just let it go. However, I am going to be trying to pull up some of the oak seedlings where I can find them. The squirrels bury the acorns. These are azaleas. They're looking so much better since the last time I think you saw them, when they were yellow. They took to their treatment really, really well. Camellias are blooming. Look at that. That's one of the white ones. See, look how they're not yellow anymore at all. They look so great. But this whole area could use some compost as well. Here's a pink one with a little bit of white. It's kind of an aged one though, so it's not as pretty. But this whole area, this whole walkway is hundreds and hundreds of daffodils, and they're starting to come up. which is great. I need to give like the decorative grasses a haircut, trim back like some of the dead stuff. Same thing I did in the back, like that euphorbia all needs to be trimmed back. I need to go in all these dead stems and stuff. They were great shelter and forage for the birds over winter, but it's time to clean it all up. So this is a big job. This takes me an entire day, sometimes a day and a half. I need to come through and trim back some of these beautiful thyme that are coming over the edges because the stuff underneath is dead. And so I want to pull all that out. Most of the lavender got a haircut at the end of summer, but I do need to go in. There's some Gara up there. I need to go in and trim all of this back. And I prefer to do it, yes, in the springtime, but also once most of the daffodils have come up because I don't want to crush the bulbs underneath. So while I'm walking around up here, so it's better if I can wait and trim them back, you know, once everything is really is up and running. But like you can see this Artemisia, I mean, looking awful. It's alive, but I want to cut back all of that so that we can get some fresh growth. So there's a lot of leggy things in here that need trimming. This is a cotoneaster. It's just going crazy. I need to cut all of that back. So this is a huge job. It looks like a dead wild jungle right now, and it gets beautiful in the spring and summer, but right now it's looking really rough. I don't have as much to do on this end because we are underneath some trees. So this is mostly ground cover, sedums and stuff, and there's some hellebores in here. Those have aged to green at this point. Here's another tiny hellebore. We did have hostas, but they eventually got eaten by slugs and I just never replaced them. Wasn't worth it. So that's my duty for, that's work here at the house. Tomorrow, definitely out at the farm, I'm going to get that bed filled with compost and direct sow all of those seeds and get that ranunculus bed weeded of grass. That's probably all I'll be able to deal with tomorrow, and then come back here and see what I can fit in. But it's going to be a busy day tomorrow as well. So thanks so much for hanging out with me today, you guys. I hope you have a wonderful time in your garden, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.